Support for this podcast comes from R.E. Michael Company. With more than 270 sales locations coast to coast, R.E. Michael has grown to be one of the nation's leading wholesale distributors of HVACR equipment, parts, and supplies. Our conveniently located branches carry an extensive inventory that meets the needs of its own market and its own customers. And if we don't have it, we'll find it. It's our mission to make the supply side of your HVACR business as easy as possible. CertainPath members have access to a generous rebate program too. For more information, go to your CertainPath hub or email their CertainPath representative at tracy.johnson@remichael.com or call 410-553-3714. And Professional Plumbing Group. How many hours in a day do your plumbers waste because you don't have the right part for the job? This problem leads to additional issues and reduced productivity, poor customer satisfaction, and increases your cost per job. Professional Plumbing Group, or PPG, can help you solve all those issues and more. We have everything you need to help your business grow and become more profitable by allowing you to focus on plumbing, not inventory management. Go to authorizedplumberprogram.com for more information.
Welcome to The Successful Contractor, powered by CertainPath, formerly Success Group International, a show for residential contractors about residential contractors. We chronicle business journeys, share insights, and celebrate successes in this wonderful industry. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. As a reminder, all episodes of The Successful Contractor are available on YouTube, as well as your podcast player of choice. And for more information on how CertainPath can put your contracting company on a certain path to success, visit our website, www.mycertainpath.com. Give us a call at 866-299-8505. Today's show is another CertainPath member discussion. These are interactive, live programs where I interview CertainPath members on a particular topic. The topic of this call, planning for growth. How do you get appropriately ready for the next fiscal year? I'll let my guests introduce themselves in a moment. I hope you enjoy the show and take away a nugget or two. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another CertainPath member discussion. CertainPath member discussions are your opportunities to hear from members like you, explain what they're doing to be successful. So think of it as a little slice of expo coming to you through your computer phone. Today's topic is one that's timely, planning for growth. If you don't have your plan for 23 complete, my hope is you're in the midst of that planning process. I know it's not the most fun part of running a business, but it's the one that has to be done. There's an expression I like. It goes like this: a dream's nothing but a wish without a plan, but with proper planning, dreams can come true. We have two sensational members with us today to talk about how they approach planning, and I'll introduce them in just a moment. But before doing so, as a reminder, as we talk about today's topic, if you have a question, please write it in the box at the bottom of your screen. The last 10 minutes or so in the hour, I'll ask our panelists those questions, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, here are our panelists. First, we have Reagan Thomas from Travis Electrical Services in Clarksville, Tennessee. Reagan, there we go. Very good.
Hi.
Good to see you there. Excellent. And we also have Larry Shoemaker, from Deluxe Plumbing and Heating in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Larry? There he is. Great.
Hello.
How are we doing, Larry?
Excellent.
Good. Well, thank you both for making time for me. I know it's you guys are always busy. Larry, you're in Dallas at training, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And you guys have both been on the show before. You did so well, I had to have you back. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So thank you. Before we dig into today's topic, I wanted to talk about each of your companies, just kind of how the last year's gone. Reagan, you're at the top of my screen, so we'll pick on you first. How's 2022 gone? Where do you think you'll finish in revenue and profitability?
2022's been good for us. It hasn't been without a daily grind. Just kind of how we operate. We go day to day. Some people are booked out weeks. We typically stay booked out, 2 to 3 days, if that. So we hustle, but we're doing all right. Right now, let's see. Right now we are at 2.07 million, looking to end right at 2.3. And our profitability right now is at an 18% net profit.
That's always helps. That's good.
There's times where it fluctuates, so I don't say that boastfully at all. We're very humbled and proud of that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that, Reagan. Larry, how about you guys? How's Deluxe been doing this year? Where do you think plumbing and HVAC and even that new electrical division, how are they going to fit?
So we'll hit 6.4 this year. We'll do right. We should hit that 8% net, which isn't the goal, but it is. We put
It's real.
It's real. It's real,
Yeah.
and it's we put a lot into equipment this year, and we were a little bit lacking on the price. Again, getting our prices right with everything going up and getting a handle on that. We were lagging on books and just price increases. So it hit a little bit, but we are ready for next year. We've made a lot of changes, so we should come next year's. We're looking up for next year, no matter what the economy does. So
Yeah. Well, it's certainly been an interesting year or two in terms of changes in materials and labor costs. I mean, it's kind of bananas. You've also been helping us out. I got to plug it. You've been and Missy Jones, our coach on a CertainPath, been working on the new fundamentals of drain cleaning course. That's at your shop. Let's see, December 5th and the 6th, right?
That's right. That's right. There's still room for those classes. There's going to be hands-on. There'll be equipment there. They're going to be able to see, get some tricks on what's going on, how to present things with the customer, and how to get into other stuff after that drain cleaning.
Yeah. So it's a little technical. It's a little communication. So it's the best of both worlds.
That's right. It is.
So very excited. Thank you for making time to do that. I got to plug it because I know you guys have worked hard on it. So thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and dig in today's topic of planning for growth, strategic planning. Obviously, it kind of begins with the budgeting process and determining what your priorities are for next year. Reagan, let's throw it to you. When do you guys really start your planning process for the new fiscal year?
For us, it kind of feels like we're in a consistent mode of planning, to be honest. We put together our 5-year plan last year, and it feels like we're consistently kind of trying to tick towards that, and then we'll work backwards from some things. I would say that I feel bad because I can't answer that so directly. Like we started this month of this year. We really started last year with a 5-year plan, and then slowly working towards that and taking it in quarterly chunks of how we can approach it.
I was going to say, you guys work on it quarterly. The whole management team, right? You guys kind of lock yourselves away for a half a day or a whole day and dig in. You're constantly planning.
Yeah, we got a lot of lofty goals that we want to make a reality. So we're actually this Friday starting our first session with the EOS implementation.
Oh, good.
So we're really excited about that to make it even more tangible. And how do we take it and push it down to our team even more so that everybody's on board?
Mm-hmm. Making it a little more systematic rather than sitting in a room and going, okay, what do we do?
Now what? Yeah.
Yeah. Who's all included? Maybe share that with everybody. Who's all included in those quarterly strategy meetings?
So our leadership team, which is Chris Travis, the owner, he's the president of the company. And then Shannon Jones is our administrative manager. Stephanie Travis is the director of our apprenticeship program, as well as kind of really spearheading a lot of our team member development processes. And then myself, who's vice president of service.
Very good. It's very good. And you guys just get together, and you've had an agenda before, but like you said, you're going to utilize the EOS system, and it'll go even a little smoother. So that's great that you're constantly thinking about what's next. So that's fantastic. Larry, how about you guys? At Deluxe, when do you start your planning process for the next year? And kind of you hold up in a hotel for a week, or do you do it continually, or what do you do? I've heard all sorts of stuff.
It's continued throughout the year, but the things that really can, a lot of the costs are not going to change, right? So you know what they're going to be the following year. You know what your building cost is going to be. I mean, you want to plan for when you want to get into a new building and get new trucks and do those things. Right. But those things that really change, we really start working on July, just to talk about it, and then September, October to get final pricing for that next year. A lot of that's marketing, healthcare, your general life, all your insurances, right? Yeah. So those are the numbers that you can really change and tweak and try to figure out where you can cut costs and do better at, or where you need to put extra cost into. So that's where we kind of, that July mark, we started talking about it. We started pinning agents against each other and seeing who we want to get pricing from and things like that, and what we want to do if we want to make any changes. This year we're adding a short-term disability that we're giving everybody, company paid. That's one of the things that we wanted to do last year. So we putting things like that in the budget.
That's great.
And looking at that.
Who in the team helps you with that process? Are you doing it alone, or what does that look like?
So Alyssa helps me with the general liability and the healthcare part of it. She's our HR, and then me and Heather runs our office. We both do the marketing side of things. Yeah. So and you can spend a lot. That's a big chunk of change that can vary throughout the year. So
yeah. And is it you carve aside a couple 3-4 hours in those summer months a week or a day to do it, or is it for these 2-3 weeks we're just going to hammer away at it and make calls and just kind of approach it from there? Or
I see a squirrel, I'm gone, so I can't chunk that much time away from anything. So we knock away at it. We have a spreadsheet that we work with, and as we get prices, we pin those numbers in there. As they come in, we discuss where we want to go, and it's fluid through the whole thing.
Yeah. I got to ask because it comes up a lot, and it semi pertains to this. But you just moved into a new building a couple years ago. How long has it been?
About a year and 3 months.
A year. So how long did you take to plan for that in terms of cost and building the budget and all that kind of stuff, and then plans?
We knew 3 years ahead of time that we were looking, and that was only after being in that building for 2 years. So we were looking and trying to see what we wanted and things like that. And then, as that time goes and we're growing and growing and growing out of that building, it gets more and more urgent. So, the year before we knew it's time, we got to really find it now. And, and that's tough because there's so many things that you need in that building, and trying to find that and find the right building for the right cost. Is tough.
Sure. Even maybe more so nowadays. So very good. All right. Thank you, Larry. Reagan, how do you guys talk about what's the big financial goals, right? And what you're going to aim for the next year? What, is it just looking back at what you did the last 3 years or the last year? I kind of go, we're going to do $3 million next year, or we're, because some people go, I want to double, I'm like, okay, is that reasonable? So how do you guys kind of approach that?
Honestly, we look at and just say, and it sounds so rudimentary, but we just say, how many trucks do we want on the road? And we think, okay, what would it take to do? So like we did this last year, we wanted 6 trucks, by the end of the year. And so we just said, okay, this is what we want. And then we just do a breakdown. I talked about it at Expo, I believe. I'm really transparent with my team. And so basically it's like to have a vehicle on the road, this is how much money they need to generate, which is our daily goal multiplied by how many working days there is in the year. And then boom, there we go. So we take the working days, which is, all of the weekdays less the 6 paid holidays that we have. And then, and that's how we kind of come up with our numbers. We've looked at years past. As long as we see growth, we're good with it. But we've had a lot of change over the past couple years. Sure. And so I don't always put it based off of past years. It's always with you just try to keep it simple because, man, there are so many things that you could look at and evaluate, and probably a lot better way to do it. But for us, that transparency with our team of hey, these are the expectations, and this is how we do it. So we do based on how many vehicles we want on the road, and then back out of that, okay, we know we need to generate this much revenue, which means we need to have this much in marketing and this many call volume, and basing it off the DMER, honestly. That tool that we'll provide.
That's great. Very good. Very good. Larry, how about you guys? How do you come up with that revenue number that you want to hit in 2023? Is it let's look at past performance, or
a little bit of past performance, but really it depends on who do we have coming up. What apprentices do we have sitting that are gonna be ready for a truck. And because we really want to grow our own apprentices and grow our own people. So it's how many are we going to have in more availability in the field, and then do we have the call volume? Can we get those calls to keep them going? And if we know that, then we can go back and this is what that truck should bring in, and you work a little bit backwards on where that budget number can be.
Very good. Now, for either one of you, when you're looking at what your technicians are producing, you never budget. Oh, I know we can get them to do another $300 per average ticket. Do you ever look at it that way, or is that dangerous in trying to do that? You're better off going, hey, we're going to add a truck, and we know we have a company, average ticket of X, and that's how we can project our future growth. What do you guys say on that? Either one of you.
I'll go. Even though we've had price increases, and some people might cringe at this, we've had price increases over the years, and even this year, obviously. Our average ticket goal is the same as it was 4 years ago.
Really?
And I clearly can recognize, well, why would you, if you had, I get it, but our average ticket goal is this. Our average ticket is actually a lot higher. And so I always want my team to know, hey, here's the expectation that we set, and that's fine, but they're always exceeding that. Right now, our average tickets, actually literally today for this month, the average ticket is $12.66. It's a little low right now for us.
Good.
But they do good. And so again, I always go back to transparency. For us, it's really big that it's not just about the money. And if we push our mission and we're giving them the tools to complete the mission, then the rest of it kind of flows in. And
So when you're budgeting, though, you budget off of what each tech has done previously, or you budget off that this is what our minimum per truck average is?
This is our minimum per truck and what it is. So minimum per truck, and this is how many vehicles we have.
Right.
And this is what we need to do. So
okay. Larry, how about you? How do you guys handle that process?
New trucks, always minimum.
Yeah.
Existing trucks and people that have been with us for years, we look at what their average is, and that's what we plug in, and we hope they keep. Yeah.
Do you when you look at, so it leads beautifully to my next question, was when you look at, say, Joe, who's been with you for 5 years, and he's been doing a little better each year and he's a solid performer. Do you say, okay, well, Joe, we expect you to do another X amount average ticket? Or do you just go, hey, that's what he did, we're going to hope he does that again?
That's what he did. We hope he does that again. Yeah.
Sure. How do you talk to Joe about that then? Is it like in a one-on-one? Hey, Joe, we're hoping you do this. We're budgeting off of that. To kind of set for him to know what is expected of him in a new fiscal year.
Well, one-on-one, we don't have that discussion for company-wide. That's how we got our goal. But one-on-one, we talk about their goals on what they want to make salary-wise and where they're at with revenue for the year and how they can make more by bringing more in.
Okay. And is that's like an annual conversation, or do you guys talk about, production often in one-on-ones?
Often. That's often. Yeah. And a lot of times with the managers, with me one-on-one with them, it's less. It should be more frequent, but it's less frequent than what it should be.
Yeah. But that's honest. I mean, that's why you're going to be a bigger company. You've got managers to do a lot of that. Reagan, how about on your side? Sam has done an average ticket of X, and it's gone up each year. And you talk to Sam about, hey, you did this. We're hoping you can try to do this next year, or do you allow them to set it? How do you approach, their goal setting? Because obviously that flows back with your planning, and that affects how well you produce.
So I think similar to Larry, we say, hey, this is what you did, and these are the expectations, and you met those expectations, and we're really proud of that. And this is how much you exceeded it by. And what I always do is say, because we do an hourly plus a percentage, so I always show them, hey, I'm big on bringing up what they asked for coming in, and then what they actually make. And they always make way more than what they thought. So I show them what they make, what they produced, what their average ticket, their closing ratio, their club membership, all of that, so they can see where they're at. Because we talk about it daily as a team, but for them individually, for that, when at Expo, when I think it was Rebecca's class where she said that she can come in and it feel like, well, I don't remember what she said, but like a slaughter, like just come in and slash and burn and whatever. Like I have totally been that person before, and I still am, but I try to temper that with remembering a couple things. And a lot of speaking, Larry, we're the same. Like we want to grow our own. I've got 7 techs and 5 apprentices. So like we really are adamant about getting our next group into vehicles, just like you were saying. And that next generation, like they don't want to be driven. They don't want to be driven hard in the sense of, hey, you produce this, and next year you're gonna have more, buddy. Like that's
right.
And, and it's more so like, thank you for doing this because you were able to produce more. This is how you provided for your team and for your family. We're gonna we don't ever withhold. Like I always am bringing up, you guys. I have to say kicked boxes because I have to be careful with what I say. So we say instead of kicking other things, we kick boxes. You kicked a lot of boxes last month. We're gonna go celebrate, or we'll get new different tools that they want for the van or whatever. That I think brings a lot of pride to them on, hey, I'm not only providing for my family, but I'm providing for my team.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. That's very good. Very good. Excellent. Right. Thank you, Reagan. Obviously, sales are not the only thing that matters. But, when you're doing planning, we got to be mindful of that gross margin. That's how the net dollars sprinkle down. Larry, how do you kind of budget for overtime and keep an eye on that throughout the year?
The managers, they look at their own people, right? And just making sure that overtime is justified and they're out there because of that. A lot of times it's after hour calls when they're doing that. On our other install departments, that's a beast in itself. Do you take the extra day or do you take the overtime? We try to have that talk of where that line gets cut, right? You don't want to take the overtime and the extra day, right? But we'll take a little bit of overtime if we don't have that extra day that we have to go out there. So, that's a manager job to kind of really budget that and try to keep that under control and just be one-on-one with those install teams about being efficient out there and when to take that time and when not to.
Yeah, it's tough in HVAC, especially because summer, you could be busy, 20 hours a day, really, I would assume, if you wanted to be, right? If they want to keep installing, but you don't want to burn your guys out. Is there like a hard and fast rule, like after 60 hours, you just say, hey, it's not worth it? Or what do you have any kind of a KPI like that? Or just judging team by team? I know a lot of HVAC guys want to just make hay when the sun shines. There's a lot of them that don't care.
Yeah. And that's balancing. We had our install, one of our install leads, July came, he goes he was just, I need a week. I just need a week, just give me all, I need to take off for a week. And it was fine. We brought some of the other younger guys up, some of the apprentices, they stepped in, did great. It actually was a nice opportunity to get them a little bit more confidence on what they're doing. So it was good. And we planned those jobs. We knew ahead of time. We planned those easier jobs out for those apprentices and those other tier people to take that over. So that worked out well. So that's a balance.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely talk about the apprentices when we get into the manpower part, because you both guys do, again, great job in funneling people through into your company. But Reagan, before we do that, we'll stay on task here. How do you guys manage budgeting overtime and making sure you don't spend too much there, you don't burn the guys out? How do you handle
that? I think a lot of what Larry said, managing it, evaluating the jobs. Hey, can we squeeze in another hour or two here so we're not wasting time tomorrow or doing things like that? It's also knowing your team. So like when you see that they've been working really hard, I keep in touch with pretty close with my dispatcher, but making sure she knows, hey, where are we at hours wise? Are we pushing guys dispatching for profits a lot? Like if it's at the end of the day and it's a job where it's like 40 minutes away and it's it's something that we all know, like you don't want to look at it this way, but we all know it's a certain type of job. And if the guys are already at, over 40 hours and into 45, 46, I know for a lot of people that's not a lot. We try to keep it down. Like for us,
Yeah.
once we're at 45, 46, I'm like, okay. Is it profitable?
Right.
If he's way over his goal for the week, okay, great. But if it's a time management thing, then I usually sit and talk with our field coordinator. He's my lead tech, and just say, hey, I need you to get with so-and-so. They didn't meet goal last week and they had like 42 hours. What's going on? Or 43 hours.
Yeah. Have either one of you ever done a like a deep dive and gone, hey, once we get past 47 hours, the jobs become less profitable? Have you ever noticed anything like that? No. I know Gus has done it, but obviously it's a much larger organization with a lot more people to do digs into something like that. So I didn't know if that's something, or if you just notice it, maybe you didn't do a dig into the numbers, but you're like, I can tell production.
I don't necessarily know if it's less profitable. I notice that debriefs become sloppy. I notice work becomes sloppy. Callbacks happen.
Yeah.
Morale in the morning. You can tell they're trying to keep it up, but they're dragging.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll notice it.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor morale and callbacks are not a good combination. That's for sure.
No.
Larry, we were talking about, materials before we hit record, and it's been bananas. And how do you kind of budget for these material costs that keep going up? So as you were looking at 23, what do you, did you just kind of account that's going to go up an X amount %, or what did you do?
So it's probably not. So we redid the price guide in a way that we can change our pricing and our dispatch at a moment's notice in the software, and the price guide's not affected by it. So
that's great.
When we did that, we just, we needed to do it quicker, because what was happening is we had the guide. It would take weeks to get it, where we need to be, get up, get it out, and then we get it back, and then we get the pricing in the software, and then we get the books out. So we needed something that was quicker. If we know something's going up, we can change it at a moment's notice.
Yep.
And the techs didn't need to be told every single time, because it seems like every time that new price increase comes up, our numbers dip a little bit because the techs aren't as confident with it. So now they don't even know. Like, they know the levels, so they'll see it, but it's not like the big shock.
Yeah, it's not like, here's your new book, here. Yeah. It's less of an ordeal. So
it is. And we can do like little steps now, so we can step it up a percent, and then a percent, and then a percent. And the techs aren't noticing big 7-8% jumps.
Right. Yeah. Instead of like, hey, we know we're going to do a big jump right now because we're printing these things, and that's just how we got to do it. So that makes sense. Reagan, how about you guys? How do you kind of handling all these materials, bonanza craziness?
Man, I think one of the best things that we've done in the last year is having our price guide, not having a book, and we have everything digital, so we can, just like you said, Larry, update things as we need to go, a little bit here, ticks here and there. That's super helpful because, to use the CertainPath, like that mental end zone preparation, if a tech is going in knowing I got to present this at this much higher and all, it gets to them, their confidence is down, and customers can recognize that. So is having a digital price guide, or however you're going to do that. The second thing is you don't want to lose the benefit of having that book to show something to customers. So what we did is we created a pamphlet that has all steps to the service call. It has all of our club membership info in there. It has our guarantees, why we're different. It has all of those first couple pages of the price guide in there.
Yep.
That's what they're presenting the customers. There's no pricing info on there. And honestly, there's no percentage numbers on there, even for the club membership, because I just said special discounts or special pricing.
Yeah.
And as I need to adjust potentially discounts.
That's a great idea. I was going to ask about, I know the being able to adjust the pricing is huge, right? But there's a lot of that value that the price guide provides, especially for techs that aren't great communicators at first, to kind of walk a homeowner through how the call is going to go that day. So I didn't know if maybe you use just the front part of the guide, not the levels themselves. So that's how you overcome it.
We have a pamphlet, yeah.
Yeah. Larry, do you guys do anything? Do you use the book at all at the front end of it, or no?
We use the book with no pricing.
Just the
So,
no price. You're right.
yeah, because I love on the HVAC side, they have the units there. They can take that book, walk right through what's going on with the system. It has every component in there. For the plumbing side, you have the water heaters that are in there. That makes it easy for the tech to explain to the customer what's going on. The drain cleaning, you have everything there that it just steps it through everything, and that, you know, what could be going on with those pipes underground. So
Right.
it helps each one of those. So I think it's there as a tool. I didn't want to lose that tool, but on the same hand, I didn't want to I didn't want to lose it. And with the pricing, we just took out all the pricing.
Yeah. So that's great. So your techs do a really good job of using those illustrations. No, we iPhone issue. No, I was just going to say, I was saying, so your techs do a good job of using those illustrations. You guys train on that, and so a homeowner understands what's going on in their system. It's not some major mumbo jumbo like you're going to an oil change place. That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. Now, who, Larry, say on your side, I'm assuming it's your manager, who's monitoring both the labor and the materials and the costs and stuff like that, so you know to tick it up a percentage or two. Is it the service managers of each department, or who's kind of keeping an eye on that?
Day to day, it's service managers. I look at it month to month. Once that month ends in, we look at all the numbers. So we have weekly meetings with all the managers that we have a sit down, that we have a day to day with all the managers, but that monthly month end is when we look down, we break down all the percentages, where they're at, why, sometimes there's a reason why material's high, or there's a reason why labor is high, or there's something there, right? So we always discuss that, see what the reason is, and they both start to be high, that's when you know you're out of your pricing's out of whack. So.
That's great. That's a good nugget. How about you guys, Reagan? Who's watching that labor material percentages and noticing what's ticking up? I mean, is it just those regular meetings and where it's discussed, or?
Ultimately, it rolls to me. But I've got a couple team members that I'm developing. And so one of them he volunteered to be in charge of like our supply stock area. So we have it on consignment. And so he's really helped organize that and evaluate, okay, we really do need this, we don't need this. And as he's been learning, scanning those in, I'll review the ticket before we submit it, go over it with him like, hey, here's where we are. We're trying to hit this margin right now. We don't really need a whole bunch of this. We don't need to get to the full amount. So kind of evaluating that, especially when it gets down towards the end of the month, when we're trying to make sure we're within gross margin, like what jobs do we have coming up? Do we actually really need to go ahead and do a bulk order of this or that? So he's helping with that. And then my field coordinator helps a lot with ensuring, as the techs are going to him on a technical level, that the advice that he's giving them is keeping in mind material. So what are we using for this? How could we use things differently?
Yeah. How often are you reviewing maybe the trucks themselves? So some guy doesn't have 8,000 rolls of tape or what, I don't know, whatever. I'm not technical. How do you make sure that the trucks don't end up into these massive warehouses themselves? I mean, what kind of a process do you use for inventory?
We're not. That's the problem. You get pack rats out there who all of a sudden now they've got all the things. That is something that we're really going to be focusing on, and we're actually in our warehouse going to be fencing off our consignment area now because we haven't had it fenced off. So we're going to have a better way of keeping inventory control, and then once we have that, then we can start saying, okay, you need all of these things, and pull everything off and then put it on, and then there's a count and it's there. But we're not done well with that.
No, that's all right. So right now, or do the guys just go grab it themselves if they're low on something, or how does that work? Yeah.
Yep, they go and yep. We just started actually holding back on, which my material now is high this month because we bulked up on arc fault, ground fault breakers, smokes, and surge protectors. And now I'm just keeping all of those in my office, and the same guy who's kind of helping me with the other stuff, he's checking them in and out. So we actually have an inventory on the van. Yeah. But
you're locking them up before you're locking them up.
Yeah, they're locked up before they're locked up, but that's going to help. But yeah, just spent a lot of money on it. So my material is off right now, but it'll be all right.
not for much longer, not that system. So, Larry, how about you guys? How do you kind of make sure techs don't all of a sudden start becoming little curmudgeons where they hold every kind of piece of material they think they'll need in 7 years?
Every one of them, right? You pull motors off, all kinds of stuff. So what we got a new warehouse person in, which should change the game. But when a tech goes on vacation, those trucks are coming in, and that's our opportunity for us to go through those trucks, get any kind of maintenance things done with them, and just go over it and just make sure what's on there is what's on there. We just now working on getting everything into our software for inventory, and we're going to start inventorying each truck. But that I wish I had that. If anybody has 1 or 2 man crew, do it now, because when you got a lot of trucks out there, that is a task and a half to try to do.
Yeah. So that's good. You're getting it under control now, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. It is a lot, but we're just gonna go in, see what they are, and when trucks are there in the morning, I try to like pop my head in there, and we kind of go through. If we see a lot of crazy stuff, we'll try to take care of that, on a regular basis.
So your new warehouse person, is he going to have like a bucket with what materials need to be replenished, be based on the previous day's jobs, or is he just going to keep the back end organized and do ordering, or what are his tasks going to be mainly right now?
So his tasks will be, so currently if somebody's pulling stuff, they're writing it down on a dry erase board, what truck it is. We all have PO numbers. They give their number, what job it is, give it to him, and then we at least know where it's going and what needs to be replenished.
Okay. So that's evolving.
He's 3 weeks in, so it's Now,
is he just like a straight hourly, or is there kind of some kind of perk for him if he helps drive down?
It's straight hourly right now, but there's tiers for him to reach where that pay increases.
Support for this podcast comes from Goodman. Goodman is a brand of Daikin Comfort Technologies Incorporated, the #1 HVAC manufacturer worldwide, with one of the world's largest state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities located near Houston, Texas. Since 1982, Goodman has focused on offering the best values for HVAC systems and supplies, producing energy-efficient, high-quality HVAC equipment that's easy to sell, install, and maintain. Goodman's continuous efforts have helped contribute to the success of many HVAC contractors like you. Goodman produces a complete line of residential ducted split systems and packaged units. The company's product line is supported by numerous technology enhancements, many exclusive to the Goodman brand. One example of exclusivity is the Google Nest Thermostat E plus Goodman Thermostat that brings together the helpfulness of Google with the year-round comfort of Goodman. Goodman also offers Comfort Bridge technology that allows Goodman systems to be connected to any 24-volt thermostat. And the Cool Cloud app allows contractors to connect, configure, and diagnose wirelessly. It's no wonder millions of homeowners say, "Thank goodness for Goodman." Look for and be sure to follow Goodman on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Let's change it up a little bit, because we only talk materials for so long before everyone turns it off. We know we need more sales. We need to get that gross margin, but if we're going to get more sales, we need more calls. So marketing, everyone's favorite subject. Reagan, how do you guys kind of budget for marketing? What's your percentage at these days?
Man, talk about a weak spot. Our percentage right now is like 7%. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So
for electrical, it's pretty low.
Yeah. So, but it's been all right for us for a while, but we've hit that threshold where it's like, okay, we've got 7 vehicle or 7 service vans in this area. We're fairly small. We know there's a lot more out there though. So we actually are increasing it to 14%. And that's going to kick off. We're just going to start doing like OTT, and I got to always think, because I don't know anything about this, but leaning on the CertainPath family. So John Plizzi with Home Service Heroes, and what he's doing, he's a guru of that and always willing to share, hey, what are you doing? And even sharing his contacts. Billy Bishop, and I talk a lot with Gary Craddock over here at Craddock Electrical Service. Like, hey, what are we all doing? Let's not reinvent the wheel, and they've been great with that. So we're starting at 14% because we need to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heavy investment. So you're doing it mostly in OTT, or is it more
No,
PPC?
so right now we have none of that. Right now it's mainly SEO and PPC primarily, but then we do locally here in Clarksville. Like there's a local news station that we advertise on their website. That's where people around locally get all their news from, and then on the radio with them for the Clarksville stations.
Now, is that the new investment, or is that you're just going to pour more into that?
We're going to be pouring the new investment more into PPC, but primarily mostly the OTT, getting into people's homes in the way that, it's super smart. It's non-skippable. It'll be commercial. It'll be dedicated to our target base in specific areas where we're making the most money right now. And it's really incredible.
Is that what's the demographics? You can set the demographics on that too, can't you?
Yeah. So we set it based on household income and home value, zip code, and then age and gender. So our demographic would be we're targeting household income $100,000 or $75,000 and up, and then the house at like $250,000 and up. With the housing market right now, that's a low price.
Well, it is,
and a lot of our great demographic, I want those houses. I want people who appreciate tradespeople, and we find a lot of times those are the houses that you pull up to that really need the work. They're not the big, huge mansions with money bags. They're honestly not our target.
That's interesting. Who's managing that? Is it an local agency that's helping with the OTT stuff, or?
It is the OTT is Jeff Wagstaff with iHeartMedia. He's a referral from John with Home Service Heroes, and a lot of people in the Profit Platoon down there in Florida are using him, and he's made his way up here to Tennessee. He's been great, totally accessible and totally helpful in that area.
So those digital spots you're creating are basically TV ads. Who's is he helping with the production of those as well, or is that separate?
So basically, he laid it out and said, "Hey, here's 2 ways you can do it." They'll write the script for it, and then he's like, "If you want us to find someone to film it for you, then we can. If you want to do it." We've used a local company here before when we did our expo presentation. They're going to help us with it, but Jeff is totally involved with that. So we actually have a call with them on Thursday, and Jeff will be part of it to make sure and guide it that it's going to be proper. And the great thing about that is that he's already worked with a lot of CertainPath members, so he understands that dynamic.
Are they mostly branding, or are there any discounted on service? Like what are you guys going to do?
He did say, we're focused a lot on branding, but he did say there should be a call to action on some of them. So like call now and mention this ad or something for $25 off service performed, or, something like that. And I'm really, again, going to be leaning heavily on him for his recommendation of that, and potentially some of the other members for what's been successful for them.
So who's in the spots? Is it Chris or is it the whole team, or what do they look like?
It's going to probably be a mixture. We haven't filmed them yet. We need to get it done before the end of the year. But it's going to be probably utilizing one of our homes and one of our team members. It's definitely important. Chris is pretty visible in our community. So at some point, we want him to be on there and his voice kind of talking about it. So that's what our plan is.
That's cool. Well, that's very exciting. All right. So you said, the OTTs, you said, and the TV and radio are new as well, right?
Yeah, we're not doing any TV.
No TV, okay.
TV would, I guess, be like the OTT.
It would be the OTT,
Radio, we're doing radio ads, and we've done like a sponsorship. Clarksville's opening a new, basically, arena, and I know we've got like a sponsorship there. And marketing, our vans get a lot of attention. Yeah. So we have pretty unique vans, so you can't really drive anywhere without seeing them just in our local community. So that's helpful to have those attention-grabbing vans.
Was the radio a new component, though? I was trying to get into that. Or is that something you had been doing?
Radio is new in the last 3 months.
3 months.
So,
Are you starting to see it pick up a little bit? Because 3 to 6 months can be kind of that.
Yeah, it's kind of getting into a slower season, so it's hard to tell. I'll say I've been out and about and someone said, oh, I heard this, that, and I'll hear it on the radio, but I don't think we've entirely penetrated that branding space yet where it's top of mind and as often as it needs to be. We're still getting into that.
Is it talk or music, or what are you guys doing?
It's a thing where it's talk and music. So it's like outlaw country, and then more of like a news station, like a conservative news station, that's here in the area. And the script is basically like, sorry guys, but a husband's fumbling around and clearly messed something up, and the wife's like, ah, God, man, I'm calling Travis, and then it's like a call Travis for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Are they stacked during drive time or just all in one day? Drive time.
We're in drive time, and learning point was for me really paying attention, because initially I didn't hear it on the weekend, and I was in my yard working all weekend when I had it on to hear it, and I called him like, hey, I missed this. I've been working in the yard for 2 days. I didn't hear it. Like, oh, well, it wasn't on the weekend. And I was like, okay. So paying attention to the details is important.
Yeah, no, but it's good to do during drive time though. That's a good nugget that you're doing. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. That's good stuff. All right, well, thank you for allowing me to pepper you with that round robin of marketing questions. Larry, how about you guys? What are you budgeting for marketing in 23?
6 to 8% of revenue.
Yeah, that's a great
market.
16, you said?
No, 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Oh, okay. I was going to say 16. I almost fell out of my chair. Okay.
Yeah, right, no. I'm sad. I'm pretty thrifty when it comes to the marketing, right? So
yeah, well, that's all right. Really that's not far off from the model.
Yeah, and we do some branding, we do some TV, and we do a lot of OTT, digital marketing, PPC, LSAs, But if I don't have to spend it, we kind of draw it back a little bit. I committed to the TV and the OTT.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's new, right? We talked about that. Was what, in the last 6 months that's been going on, or has it been a year?
Yeah, that's started in April.
Right.
How's that been? The TV, and I don't know. I allocated the money to it, so I'm not. Yeah, I don't see a huge benefit in it. It's branding, I guess, right? So your name's out there, puts a little bit behind you. Call wise, if you want phone calls and that's all you're trying to put your market into for those phone calls, I don't feel that's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, it's not immediate gratification. I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's that branding, great. They know where they go, where to go when they need you. The digital marketing, I think, if you want direct phone calls, digital marketing is somewhere where you're going to be seen all over the place. You want to really drive people to your website, and then that remarketing is so cheap, and you can remarket to those people over and over and over again, which is going to go away if Congress doesn't do anything by next July. So we're not going to be able to collect that data. Right. So you want to get as many people to your website now as possible.
Right. So what does your remarketing look like? Is there just banner ads that pop up all over, or what does your remarketing look like?
Yeah, banner ads. We're going to see where they're going. You can actually see where they came into, what websites they were driven to, and then remarket those products to those customers. So there's a whole science behind it. We do a lot of it, and the remarketing, I mean, you can hit 1,000, over 1,000 people for like 54 cents. It is so cheap.
It's interesting. It's product oriented. Your ads are product oriented.
Well, you can see you can see where they were on the website. So if somebody comes in and jumps over to the water heaters or jumps over to drain cleaning, you can hit those. Know where they went to, and you can hit those people those ads.
So will your ad then say, "Hey, water heater for $50 off" or something, or what does your ad look like then?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. A lot of times we'll send commercials, pop-ups. Some will have drain cleaning on, some will have pipelining, HVAC. All depends on where they were at.
Yeah. Now, who's managing all that for you? Do you have a vendor that's doing that? And
Yeah, one of the local SEO companies does that. OTT we do through Cumulus, and that's separate. That we get names, addresses, and I think we get email addresses that we can remarket to them for that.
Yeah.
But we can cross the OTT. We can cross our data on our software to see if those customers actually came in and used us.
Yeah.
So
now, you're the marketing contact, right, on your side, right? You don't have anyone that does
Just
marketing for you.
me and Heather. So Heather does. I get the ball rolling. I give it to her, and I go, here you go. Can you finish this up? So
Larry, I always appreciate you know what you like and what you don't like, and you don't fiddle with what you don't like. I do appreciate that. No, that's good. Delegation's huge though. That's massive. So very good. All right. Well, hey, we're doing marketing. We got more calls. That means we need more manpower. You guys both do a great job of funneling, people into your organization. Reagan, let's start with you. What are you guys doing to find? Kind of share with everyone what you guys are doing to find, young people, new people into the trade. You guys do all sorts of stuff.
Wow. Okay. So we advertise on Indeed. That's helpful for us. I know it doesn't work for everybody. It has worked for us. We also are, we're big on, we want our team to kind of come in and grow with us and become in advance of our apprentices. So if we find somebody that we interview and they're a real go-getter and they just need to learn the trade, we can teach them that. So we'll bring them on, and so right now I got 5, and that's a little heavy for me, but there's great potential. And like Larry was saying, I got 2 that are probably going to be able to get in vans next year, and I got those vans ordered for them. So it's not dedicated to them, but you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
I think it all also goes back to your reputation. The way that you treat your team, people start talking about that. So when they're in supply houses or when they're on jobs and they're working next to other people and whatnot, that really matters. That's how we've, over the years, gotten a lot more interest. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but if someone asked me, hey, how do you guys find who you need? We are really fortunate right now that helps us a lot.
And you had people come in from out of state. I know at least a couple, right? And you'll fly them in and do that.
We've done that. We got one coming actually probably next week. Thank God he was already coming here for Thanksgiving. So we're just like, okay, great, we'll see you then. But we've had great success with that. I'm telling you, when they see that we're willing to roll out the red carpet for them too, and this only happens after a phone interview and after a video interview and some of those things where we feel like this person actually might be a good point. And then we also check their references prior to any of this. So once we're ready to make that investment with them, man, it comes back. It comes back in threefold because they're already invested because they see that we're invested in them. Their families are invested because we invite their spouse to come. Because if they're moving from across the country, that's scary.
Yeah.
So we
take them to dinner.
Go to dinner.
Yeah.
We go to dinner. One of them we actually even had, and this was for an apprentice, just saying. But he'll be probably ready to. I met with him this morning to get in a van, probably end of first quarter next year. He and his wife came, and his wife actually came to a portion of the interview.
Yeah.
That was the first time that had happened, but we were trying to be flexible with it.
Right.
So.
And what are you guys doing with the apprenticeship program? You were talking about you guys are doing some unique stuff. Maybe kind of outline that for everybody.
What do we? Oh man. So they meet twice a week here, and it is an accredited apprenticeship program with the Department of Labor. So in Tennessee, you're not required to have a license. So we're a little bit different in that way. It's pretty lax, honestly. But so they come twice a week. They have their test. The curriculum is the Mike Holt curriculum. And so we have our instructor that teach them. We tell them, we want them to stay here. We've got 20 guys enrolled in it right now, and they're all on our team. So next year it'll become a little more picky, and they'll have to apply for it because there's a lot of other people that we've joined our team that hasn't been part of that. But
Yeah.
the goal is to teach them the technical side and have a training wall set up so that they understand everything that they can do. So especially for service, so when they're out in the field, they can say, hey, this is the training that I've had and I understand it, and let me explain it to you in terms that you can understand it. So building that confidence level for them is crucial so that customers have confidence to buy from us.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. Larry, how about you guys? How do you account for manpower? I know you've got tons of apprentices and stuff. We've had you talk on stage about it. Maybe kind of outline forever, because I want to dig into this part, because what you do is so incredible. What all share with how you get young people involved in the apprenticeships and all that good stuff.
So we recruit for most of the schools. We get very small amount of our people come from outside the schools and come experienced.
Yeah.
We do look for experience, and we still, we do the Indeed, which we don't get a whole lot of stuff on there. But most of our people, I'm on all the OAC boards, which is Occupational Advisory Committee, on 4 of the local high schools, 2 of the post schools. I do Skills USA, NOCTI. I do all the high school stuff. So
yeah.
All the schools know who we are. All the teachers know who we are. I attend all their stuff. I support the schools. I go in there, and we pretty much get handpicks for the job shadows. They come in, they do a couple days work with us. If they meet the criteria and they're a good fit, we'll bring them in for co-op. Co-op turns into a summer internship. Summer internship turns into a full-time job eventually. Good. So, and we get them as young as coming out of their sophomore year into their junior year into their senior year for their summer internship. So we can have somebody for 2.5 years before they even graduate.
Yeah, you really know who they are as a person before you give them a full-time job.
Yeah, and the one school we have they'll take a student, and as long as the student has enough of the criteria met, they'll put them on a total virtual school. They'll go into school on Friday, do that virtual school, but for 4 days we have that student full-time all day long.
That's great. Now, for people that are intrigued, how did you nurture those relationships with those schools? Was it just volunteering to help them out, or what? If they want to do the same thing and they have a few schools maybe in their marketplace that they can learn, that deal with technical students or whatever, how did you get that rolling?
Any school that gets money from the government has an OAC for every class that they have for a technical class. You want to get on that board. Start to know the teacher, start making those conversations. And if you're pulling students from those classes, we get first pick on any one of those classes. We get to know the students, get first pick. Unless that student wants to specifically go somewhere or have a relationship with somewhere, we can usually drive that student to us.
Yeah. And you don't take, I want people here, you don't take everybody. You can be selective, and you are, which is great to be in that position.
Oh, if they don't fit, my managers know they're not a fit. We cut them, send them right back to school. You don't have to worry about workman's or unemployment. You're set. You don't usually have to worry about healthcare when they do come on full time, because they're usually all mom and dads for years afterwards. You're gonna have to put training into them, so you're gonna have to put money in that way. But besides the training, they're on the lower end of the scale on pay, so you're not bringing in somebody that is on that higher end, and you're gonna create their habits. So they're not gonna come in with all this baggage. So those are the things we really try to work on, and then just train that skill, and then bring them in and give them low level. Once they prove themselves and they get enough behind them and they can get into a truck, you just progressively move them up.
That's great. So then, as to bring it back to this planning for growth, as you move into 23, you go, okay, I know I've got three young people ready for those trucks. We need to have those trucks ready, in 6 months or whatever. So you have that kind of written out, and you have the marketing, and so you'll have the calls for them. So that's nice that you have that kind of ability to do that. So that's great. That's great. Well, good stuff. I kind of want to. The hour is quickly going. I kind of want to hit a few other things before we wrap up. How about trucks? How are you guys managing trucks? I know vehicles have been a big issue. Reagan, I think you just said you've got what, 2 or 3 trucks sitting because you know you have apprentices about ready. Is that kind of where we are today? You just got to buy them when they're available and sit on them.
No, I don't have them. I got 2 coming. In the first quarter, they should be coming. I did have one sitting, and then it's being utilized on the construction side right now, a van. So, but yeah, you got to get them. You got to get them while you can get them too, and be planning way ahead. That's one thing that I would say. If you can get a company to help you source them or whatnot, that's helpful.
Yeah.
But keep it in the forefront of your mind just to get them while you can and when you can.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Larry, how about you guys? So have you been managing the truck situation, vehicle situation? I think it's getting a little easier, but I don't think it's great.
It's not great. And none of the vehicles are, we have issues with every brand that we buy. So you don't have a special brand out there that you don't have issues with.
Yeah.
But it's just having, we always want one in the parking lot ready to go when one breaks down or we need something. But if we know these people are going to be graduating and just because they're graduating, we know about when they're going to be able to be ready to start running those, level priority 1, priority 4 service calls, those lower priority service calls or easier service calls. So we'll plan for that and try to get that truck a month or 2 ahead of time so we can get it wrapped, we can get it stocked, have it ready, do those things. And we want that tech to be comfortable, confident enough, be able to be in there so they'll be in the driver's seat. They'll be running that call with somebody right next to them for a while. So we know it's never, okay, he's ready this week. We always know ahead of time.
Sure. Do you buy or do you lease your trucks?
We buy.
You buy your trucks. Reagan, how about you guys? Do you buy or lease?
Lease.
You lease. Okay. Now for how long is your leases then?
So prior to about a year and a half ago, we did buy them, and then we decided that we were going to do the lease. And basically, Jones is the one to ask more about this one, but they help us manage when the right time is to sell them based on the mileage and get the most out of them. We found when we were buying, we weren't managing it that well, and so all of a sudden we'd have a bunch of vehicles that were kaput.
Yeah. Larry, how about you guys? Is there a set time when you retire vehicles, or you just kind of ride them till you're like, okay, they're getting to be too much trouble?
Yeah, that's a balance, right? So it's when they start being a nuisance, and we know ahead of time. I mean, mileage wise where you're at, and once you start hitting that 100,000 and you start going at 100,000, they're beat. I mean, the techs don't drive them like an owner would drive a vehicle. No. They get beat pretty quick. But that we don't. We have we try to market in a smaller area, so we're not putting a ton of miles on the vehicle. So we're hoping to get 7, maybe 10 years out of a vehicle. 10 is that's a rarity, but we try.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, very good. Okay, let's kind of wrap up a little bit. How do you kind of manage and adjust your plan throughout the year? Larry, how about you? You set the plan and all of a sudden you go, oh, budget, we're doing well, or maybe we're behind a little. I mean, how is it often it gets readjusted, or how often are you looking at it?
All year. All year. And the things you can, there's not a whole, like the marketing, that's something you can adjust. The healthcare, you already made that decision. Liability insurance, you made that decision. Workman's comp, that's pretty much set. So pricing is a big thing, truck wise and stock, and those are the things that you can really control. And the marketing is the biggest, because if we have a lot of calls coming in and we're booked out, which we don't book out for weeks, but if we're booked out a week, we know we're going to have enough calls for a while. We're going to back off on that marketing. We're not going to pay, for the pay for clicks. We're going to back off the most expensive stuff. And there's marketing things there that you can turn on and off like a switch. You never want to back it all the way off, but you can downsize your budget and do things there.
That's great. Reagan, how about you guys?
Um,
How
I'll
often are you
just
looking
talk
at your
about.
plan? Yeah, you guys are quarterly. I know that for sure.
Um, Larry hit some of the bigger picture stuff. I'll just say what's helpful for us is keeping your finger on the pulse of like your KPIs daily. So knowing like where are we at today for this week to hit our goal? Where are we at for the month to hit our goal? Where are we at on this day with our closing percentage? A lot of times I'll try and pivot and shift and just say, okay, closing percentage is low. Stop trying to hit this huge lofty goal. All I want y'all to work on it. I just want our closing percentage. Close the job.
Yeah.
And that helps them with, well, first of all, we're not spinning our wheels on wasting calls. Helps them with their confidence level. It creates happy customers, and that in turn helps us with some more referrals and marketing. So
That's
I would
great.
say just make sure you track your KPIs and communicate your KPIs daily, and you can make small adjustments right there. In addition to Larry nailed it with his advice.
That's good. Very good. Well, excellent. Last question for each of you. Larry, just kind of any final advice you might have for the audience to kind of as it pertains to planning and strategic planning. I know you've gone to the strategic planning course a couple times. Rebecca does. I think I actually just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. But anything you'd pass along?
Just they have on the hub. There's spreadsheets that you can use. We use our marketing there, so we made it our own. So I have 3 different ones. The one is everything. We put everything in that marketing budget that we could possibly do, and then we kind of make one of, okay, ideally this is what we're going to do to stay within budget, and then you have an actual one, and that actual one has your ups and downs on all your costs throughout that year or where you're at, so you can kind of track it and see, if we budgeted for 8 and we come back in at 6, that's ecstatic, right? And we hit the numbers and we got the calls we needed and everything. I'd love to have that number a lot down. My wife does too. She hates seeing that. I mean, those Google, when they hit that credit card every couple days, because you hit and hit and hit and hit, there's a big chunk going out. So, if you can lessen that,
sure.
We always try to.
Yeah. I mean, especially you got the calls, right? So for sure.
Yeah, if you got the calls, then you don't, if you want to dump that money into branding, right? That's great. But if you got the calls and you want to save that money, you want to try to keep your, put that money somewhere else in your company, that's what we kind of look to do. Yeah,
that's good. Good stuff. Reagan, kind of any final words in terms of strategic planning for anybody?
I would just say, and this is what I say at any of the expos too, is just pick 3 things, because there's so many things you could do for planning.
Sure.
Pick 3 things that you can do and work at. And if you're not even sure which 3 to pick, ask your coach and just say, here's my business.
Yeah.
Tell me 3 things that I need to work on and hold me accountable to that. And just pick 3, because even there's a lot you could do.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Sometimes you get paralysis of analysis. So
yep. Use your coach. There's a lot of resources on this side of the aisle for sure. So excellent. Well, Larry, Reagan, thank you both so much for your time today. Thank you everyone that watched live and participated. And finally, for those of you interested, this video will be available soon on the CertainPath member website, the hub. A little later, it'll be distributed as an episode of the Successful Contractor podcast, which is available on YouTube and your podcast player of choice. And please join me again next month to discuss invoice and P&L review. That'll be on Wednesday, December 14th. So I figured that would marry well with today's topic. I thought it, so I think it matches well with what we talked about today. So looking forward to that. Again, thank you, Larry, Reagan, appreciate it. Thank you again, everyone, for your time. I had a great time with you guys, and have a great holiday if I don't see you before then. So take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
That's Reagan Thomas from Travis Electrical Services in Clarksville, Tennessee, and Larry Shoemaker from Deluxe Plumbing and Heating in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, discussing planning for growth. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If so, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Or on your favorite podcast player, please leave us a 5-star review. The 2 seconds you take to leave a review will help other success-minded contractors like you find us and hopefully get a little bit better, which elevates our entire industry. And finally, please be sure to join me for future episodes. This has been The Successful Contractor, powered by CertainPath.
Support for this podcast comes from Staples. Staples is the leading provider in office supplies, offering a vast selection of products and services. Over the last 2 years, Staples has also become one of America's largest janitorial suppliers as well. From your everyday business essentials to your office furniture, printing, facilities, and break room, Staples can do it all. Staples offers benefits to help create efficiencies in procurement and consolidate vendors to streamline internal processes. Visit www.staplesadvantage.com to learn more. The Successful Contractor Podcast is part of the CertainPath family. CertainPath builds successful home service businesses and has for 23 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of over 1,000 contractors just like you. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With CertainPath, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.